I want you to close your eyes and pretend for just 1 second. I want you to sit there. Imagine you're around 400 pounds. You haven't left your basement in a very long time. It's your 36th birthday. Your mom's coming down the stairs like,
"Hey, Junior, I got you something for your 36th birthday. It's Mr. Beast themed. It's a lunchly with that drippy cheese, bruh, and some Feastables chocolate." Ah!
And then she falls down the stairs and fucking dies. She's sitting on the floor begging you for help. And you sit there and you start laughing maniacally at her. That's basically like what watching Mr. Pickles is. It's just the most satanic shit I've ever seen. But the difference between Mr. Pickles and, say, Big Mouth is they're not trying to turn it and spin it into something that's supposed to teach you a deep message. It is just straight up satanic bullshit for no other reason other than to entertain some people who like a guilty pleasure. And I could respect that, which is why I kind of think Mr. Pickles is a decent show. On the other hand, there is Momma Named Me Sheriff, which is a spin-off of Mr. Pickles that is all about the sheriff guy from the town, and I'm gonna be watching that today to see if it's actually good. So yeah, you get the picture, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Let's get into Momma Named Me Sheriff. Before I even get into the actual episodes, I would like to highlight how off-putting this show looks. There's something about it that is just a little bit disturbing. I mean, look at the sheriff here, with his big bulbous nose that looks like he could tell me the secrets of the universe, his 2 lips that kind of look like worms fighting over bricks of cocaine. They have a horse-like nature to him. Like, if he was at the family function, he would come up to me and either go, "Nay!" and start trotting his foot on the ground, or he would be like, "Hello, I was standing at Target for days to get you these Pokemon cards. But don't open the box, young one. We might have to resell it, but I still got the box for you." That's kind of the vibe the sheriff gives me, and the rest of the town, they don't look much better. But I feel like that's what the show is trying to get you to feel, so I'm intrigued to say the least. The first episode I decided to take a look at was called Ganley Studman, and it's supposedly the best episode in the series, or at least the one with the highest ratings. And it was definitely an experience, to say the least. I feel like if my mother was to watch something like this, she would just be like, "Ah! Because it's pretty vile, the things that they decide to do and showcase in a show like this, but I was all for it. The opening, or the cold open to say the least, starts off with Stanley Goodman just being at this business building. He sees a suspicious guy with a TV, and all of a sudden this big hunk of muffin, that's the best way that I could describe him, he's around 600 pounds. He's just a big thing. He has to roll his way into the office. He sells Stanley Goodman a saw lamp, not a salt lamp, a saw lamp, which cuts off his goddamn legs. Oh no! He's got nubs now. He's got nubby nubs.
Look at your little nubby nubs. Nubby nub.
I can't imagine getting my legs cut off and I wake up in a hospital bed and there's a guy, who's the sheriff in this case, just going, "Oh yeah, look at these little nubbies. Nubby. I couldn't believe that was my life. I would probably just reach for a cyanide pill at that point because, dear Lord, I don't know. Just the entire idea of me losing any of my limbs, and the first thing I wake up is this guy with these dirty horse lips looking at me going, "Let me touch your nubbies. Oh yeah, yes, nubbies." That would not make me feel good in any conceivable way. So they offer him some bionic limbs, but that's going to take a little bit, and he sees the guy that was suspicious that I had a TV head. So he puts on some shoes and begins to walk around with his little nubs. So he eventually ends up at this school where he gets drenched in mustard and he turns himself into Ganley Studman so he could pose as a student, and he ends up seeing his son Tommy. And we don't even, like, you know, get some time to sink in that he's hanging out with his own son at this point, because his son doesn't see that it's his father, and he's like,
"Oh, hey, come here, Ganley. Oh, God, I got something to tell ya. Come on."
And so they walk to this table, and fucking Ganley is all like, "Oh, Tommy, what's going on in your life?" And Tommy's like,
"Oh, I got this crush on Susie."
And we pan over to Susie, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Tommy, my boy, you got a little bit of a crush on a girl. Oh, young love. It's so hard finding your footing when you're a young elementary student, trying to understand your feelings." And Tommy just cuts that imaginative thought I had in my mind with saying,
"I want to have sex with her."
I love her. I want to have sex with her.
Well, excuse me?
"You want to do what? You want to do what to her, Tommy?" Yeah, He states that he wants to get down and dirty with Susie, and that he learned it because he saw his parents getting down and dirty. And this actually got me to slap my belly and laugh a little bit, to where Tommy's all like,
Yeah, I saw my parents having sex. My dad was on top, just wiggling a lot. Ooh! And my mom, she was just taking it and looking really sad.
Saw my dad and mom having sex once.
What?
It looks like the man wiggles on the lady while she just lies there, sad.
that was pretty funny. I actually enjoyed that joke a lot. But that would just be such an interesting situation. I mean, you know, I can't fathom having my legs chopped off. I have to go and pretend to be a school student. I'm hanging out with my own son, and he proceeds to tell me that my wife looks sad while getting down and dirty with me. I would probably rethink a lot of things. I don't know if anybody could take that, really. So he wants to get down and dirty with Susie, but Susie immediately sees Ganley, and she wants him so bad, and that kind of leads to some very weird jokes in a sense. I know it's all in good fun, but watching Susie walk up to Ganley and just be all like, "Ooh, I like bad boys," and breathe on his neck seductively when she is indeed a child is a little bit off-putting, I must say. It doesn't put me in a very good mood.
She's starting to like me.
I'm starting to like you, Ganley.
Susie, hey.
At the same time, Sheriff, he's looking for the legs, and he eventually stumbles upon this woman who has one of the most interesting designs I've ever seen in my entire life. Her peppermint patties, her knockers, they're going all the way down to her stomach, and in between that, she's just got a fucking hernia just bulbing out.
Stop my hockey sticks! You gotta buy first! $2!
Linda, drop the flipper. Now!
And I just gotta say, she's unbelievably beautiful. Everything that I could hope for in a woman. If her peppermint patties aren't just leaking all the way down past her fucking big old tummy and having a big old hernia that I could just love up on, what do you really want in a woman? Genuinely. So she starts screaming and going,
No, these are my hockey pucks! You get away, Sheriff!
Sheriff's like, "No, please, I need these. Let me have them." And he starts running away in the forest. Sheriff is trying to get away as fast as he can. He's running from Linda, just that beautiful herniated woman. He eventually ends up at a cliffside. He has nowhere to go. He's just, "Linda, why would you possibly want these legs?"
You give me back those legs, Sheriff, or I'm gonna have to do something you won't like. I'm gonna blind ya.
And Sheriff, he looks in disbelief. What could possibly blind him in this instance? And if you've watched any form of adult media, you probably knew what was coming next. It's safe to say that Sheriff was blessed as Linda goes,
Look at it, you look at it.
as she lifts up her nightgown, showing off her golden vagina. It's pink, it's puffy, and it's ready for the Sheriff, as the Sheriff can only utter the words, "Linda, your pee-pee, it's so beautiful."
Beautiful! It looks like a magnificent sunset radiating out from the eye of a golden god! Huh? It's burning my eyes!
As he begins to go blind because of the pure delight of that vaginal goodness. The ultimate clitoris, some would say. That's definitely how I would say it. Sheriff is truly a lucky man. He is blind because he has seen true beauty, and he jumps off the cliff but ends up clinging onto an eagle to float away safely. That was quite interesting. You know, sometimes the most predictable thing is still a little bit funny. I definitely envy the Sheriff, as anybody watching this video also does. I mean, you also took one look at that woman with her peppermint patties, her hernia, and were just like, "I wanted to see the golden gates of heaven too." No! That's at least what I imagine everybody is going through. I mean, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, am I right? So we cut back to Ganley at school, and it's revealed that the guy with the TV head has a big old pot belly head. Like, literally, his big old stomach is actually his face, and he's a villain, and he's trying to collect more body parts. So Ganley, he goes out to try to confront him, and that's when Tommy's like,
No! I'm a bad boy, and I gotta prove it to get my Susie.
so he starts beating up Ganley, just beating the ever-living shit out of him, and it escalated quite fast because initially Ganley was just going to let it happen until Tommy is picking him up and snapping his neck, dropping him on the concrete, and giving a big old pissy all over him, a yellow tsunami all over his face.
Who's bad now, bitch?
he definitely proven that he is a bad boy. He earns Susie to try and do horrible things to her, so right on, Tommy. And they eventually stop the TV guy and whatnot because Mr. Sheriff lands on top of him, thus arresting him, and that's pretty much the episode. For my introduction to Momma Named Me, yep, you know the drill. Momma Named Me Sheriff. It's pretty interesting to say the least. It still has that Mr. Pickles vibe of complete and utter chaos, but definitely to a lesser degree. I mean, Mr. Pickles. I was watching Mr. Pickles like rip people's tracheas out and just do the most horrible, heinous shit I had ever seen in my entire life. This is a lot more tame than that, but I will say that it's also missing that edge of what makes it feel like a guilty pleasure. It definitely still gave me a couple of laughs, so I'm not gonna rate it that bad. The animation is a little bit wild, but still a decent episode overall. I would definitely give this one a solid 7 out of 10. The next episode I took a look at was called Election, and in all honesty, the drop-off in quality from the best episode in the series going to this one is very apparent. It almost feels like it was wrote by a completely different writing staff, and that's a little bit dismaying. It doesn't really feel like I'm watching the same show. Again, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I would never really want to watch this episode again, and that's not a very good sign. The episode opens with Mr. President walking around all smug, and he eventually stumbles upon a woman, and the woman's all like,
Mr. President, I have the solution for world hunger right here.
and he takes one look at her and is like, oh, really? You got that, solution right there, hunk, and squeezes her big old boobs and proceeds to walk away happier than ever. And that is the most accurate depiction I have ever seen of anybody in office. It felt so real. It honestly would have been more real if instead of an adult, it would have been a child. That would have just spoken volumes of the political sphere. Just every single politic would have looked at that and been like, oh, I remember doing that just yesterday. And then they would go on with their merry lives devoid of consequence. It would be incredible. Momma Named Me Sheriff truly called it, and this was made so long ago. So we cut to the sheriff, and he's very excited because it's election time and nobody's running against him. After all,
My mama named me Sheriff. I mean, who's gonna run against me? This can't possibly happen.
so he's being a little bit sexist, and that is when a woman, Miss Goodman, says that she is going to run against Sheriff. He's just baffled. He's like,
How could a woman possibly be sheriff? This can't be.
and so everybody views him as a sexist pig. He gets stapled to a fence, and he gets called a nampy-pampy, which they make it sound like a slur, dear lord. So he wants to go on this big journey to prove that he is in fact not a nampy-pamby, and I actually liked that part of the episode. It was probably the only part of the episode that I actually found enjoyable, where he's live streaming and he's like,
What a nampy-pampy.
Put some soup in a bowl and touch it with his hands while it's still hot.
and then an old woman is like,
You dirty hag. You're touching my soup.
Use his bare hands to eat scalding hot soup.
Hot soup! Ah! Get your hands out of my soup!
and he gets beat up, and then he walks in the wilderness and he's like, what a
Nampy-pampy, walk in the wilderness.
and then he gets beaten up by a monkey. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Sheriff for monkey.
Monkey! Careful with that phone, yo!
And eventually the president, he sees amber resin behind Mr. Sheriff, and amber resin is like fossilized stuff with stuff inside of it, so he comes to claim that, and he gives Sheriff advice on how to win this election. It's
Basically, a penis measuring competition. You just got to measure your penis and have the bigger one.
so Sheriff, upon hearing this, decides to take off his pants and show the entire town his little tiddlywink, his elongated flesh, to say the least.
I'm better for the job.
And the town doesn't like this one bit, so they make Miss Goodman the brand new sheriff. Sheriff is heartbroken, so he decides to go to the White House really fast, and he gets there, and every country in the world is there. And they're all measuring something important, and apparently it's in blatant terms, it's that thing that dinosaurs were swinging between their big meaty legs. I'm not going to go into any more detail. They are measuring those. And so, Sheriff, being baffled by this, he doesn't like this one bit. He utters the words,
That's a little bit stupid. Sexism is wrong.
And so everybody starts making fun of him. The president walks up to him and says, "Oh, Sheriff, you don't mean that. What's wrong with you? Let me grab that sweet woman ass of yours, Sheriff." And he starts slapping the sheriff's ass, touching that thing, getting a whole handful.
Sound like a woman! Honk, honk! Let me grab that sweet woman ass of yours, Sheriff!
And that's probably how I imagine a lot of incels react nowadays. Like, take, the God of War La Fey game coming out. It looks like a really cool game. It's going to be a lot of fun. But then you get that 450-pound chud just coming on the internet like, "Oh, the only people who like this are women. Why is there a female character as the main character? I can't take it." And then if like you come up to your friend and you're like, "Hey man, the game looks good. Like the action looks fun. The concept looks fun. We're finally getting the Egyptian pantheon. What are you? Are you a woman lover? No!" And then he proceeds to have a heart attack because he can't stand the fact that a woman is a main character of a video game. At least that's what I imagine would happen. So that's basically what's going on with the sheriff, and Miss Goodman walks in and they destroy all of the things swinging between the dinosaurs' legs. They destroy each and every one of those, and they show up at the presidency. And Sheriff gets to keep his job. And that's pretty much the entire episode. It's definitely not horrible, but I would just say its biggest fault is being boring, which is kind of a deeper sin than actually being bad, unless it's like completely and utterly atrocious, because if I'm bored, I never want to watch a show again. But if it's really bad, it can be so bad that it could turn out to be funny, which this doesn't really do. It's just kind of boring. So if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a 3 out of 10. Only got me to smile maybe twice. Everything else I was just kind of stone-faced. It's just kind of a nothing burger to me. If I had a nickel for every single time I watched a young boy get pregnant, I would have 3 nickels. But it's weird that it happened 3 times, right? The episode I decided to take a look at was called Bad Parents. And it opens up with some bad parents, just some, hicks just being all like, "I let my son suck on my boobs to teach him a lesson." What?
My boys will suck my tits and blow your hater taints off!
And they're clearly like 8-year-old children, so that's an interesting thought. They're just bad parents on this bad TV show. And we cut to Sheriff, and Sheriff's hanging out with Tommy, and Stanley's a little bit jealous, so they go to Lover's Pond, where there's a bunch of, demented folk doing demented things to the water. Tommy gets locked in the car, it falls down into a pit. We cut to the hospital, and Tommy has a big old belly, a big old baby in there, because Tommy is now pregnant with a child, so he's just got this big bulbous belly for the rest of the episode, and we get some decent jokes out of this. It's mainly Tommy's reactions that are a little bit funny, and the dialogue that gets me. The concept is very weird, but oh well. So they're at Tommy's baby shower, and he's just like, "My life is ruined. How am I supposed to have this child?" And Sheriff gets him a really cool present, but Stanley doesn't like it, so he swats it out of the air. And Tommy's like, "What the fuck, Dad? You get me pregnant, your own son pregnant, and then you ruin my baby shower. What are we gonna do?"
What the Dad?
Oh.
First you get me pregnant,
Well.
then you ruin my baby shower?
So Stanley decides to go on the show Bad Parents to see if they could rectify this, if they can make this any better. And things get a little bit weird with Tommy explaining how, my dad, he went deep on me. He got me pregnant. Which is a sentence that I hope I never hear IRL. That would not be very good. And so Stanley's trying to defend himself, and Tommy's all like, "Oh, really, Dad? You took me to Lover's Pond for some hot action. How could you say that you didn't get me pregnant? Look at me. Am I the same as I used to be?"
All thanks to my pathetic excuse for a father.
But Tommy.
Get off of me!
And so, Stanley, in a fit of rage, he grabs a chair and he throws it at an audience member and breaks their nose. And everybody loves that so much that they decide they also want this to happen. So, he just starts throwing chairs at people as the audience asks questions. You have a young man walking up just to ask a question on his favorite show. "I gotta say, Tommy, why are you such a dirty fucking slut?"
Why are you such a fat, dirty slut?
Hey, no one calls my son fat.
And then Stanley throws a chair at him. There's a granny who's like, I gotta
gotta be honest, I don't really think a young boy should be pregnant.
She takes one right up the nose.
What kind of man impregnates his son?
A good man.
It is some pretty good slapstick physical comedy, I gotta say. It's a little bit gruesome, but oh well. And the actual bad parents from the beginning of the episode, they don't like this one bit, so they're plotting. And Stanley, he just keeps throwing the chairs. He eventually throws up a chair, and it almost hits Tommy. And Tommy's like, "You tried to kill my baby boy!" And I could feel that deep in my heart. I mean, watching a child under 10 almost lose their child from a chair almost being thrown at his big fucking pregnant belly, it'll pull on your heartstrings, I gotta say. So Stanley's trying to make up for this, and then like one of those like dog things goes over Tommy's neck and he gets kidnapped and taken away. So Stanley has to get the help from Sheriff, and Sheriff gets to use his uncle powers. So he's walking through the house using his squirt guns and whatnot to be all like, "I'm the best goddamn uncle there is. I could do whatever I need to." He takes one look at the mom and he's all like, "Have you gained weight, woman?" And he starts getting attacked, but that gives enough time for them to go upstairs just in time for Tommy to start having the baby. And we watch the young boy as he squeezes it all the way out of his body and gives birth to a frog. Okay. Pretty cool. 10 out of 10. There's a frog coming out of his ass. Yes. And so the frog leaves his ass. He has a baby now. And that's pretty much the entire episode. It's definitely not good by any means, but it's not bad again. This is just a very mid-show to me. There's really nothing that stand out about it. The best part of it was the dude throwing the chairs at people and, you know, people asking Tommy why he's a dirty little fat slut. That was pretty funny. Everything else is just painfully average and not that interesting. So if I was to rate this episode 1 out of 10, I would probably give it like a 5 out of 10, a 4 out of 10. It's really nothing that special, but it's okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. Momma Named Me Sheriff is a very interesting show. It's not that bad. It's not that good. It's just kind of in the middle. It feels like they took all the insignificant aspects of Mr. Pickles and decided to make a show about it, which is kind of weird. I feel like if you're going to go through the effort to make a spin-off, unless it's just for money, you want to focus on a character that you can't always talk about in the original show, and I feel like they could make an episode about Sheriff in the original show if they wanted to, so why bother creating an entire new IP specifically for this? It just seems a little bit odd. It's kind of like how Family Guy is making a Stewie spin-off. Why the hell do we need a Stewie spin-off when you could just make an episode about Stewie whenever you want? And nobody would care. Or like how Rick and Morty is getting a President Curtis spinoff. Why do we need something like that for a character that a lot of people aren't even clamoring for? I don't know a lot of people who are clamoring for a spinoff that is all about the president. It just seems a little bit odd what people decide to focus on, but hey, to each their own. This show got canceled pretty soon, and I can see why. It's just painfully average.